Hello everyone and welcome back. If you do not know who I am Ren and thank you for tuning in this week. I am still recovering from being sick, as you could probably hear in my voice. So, I'm not gonna I wanted to take this series back to its roots and kind of just yammer on about something that I find important. Because I've kind of just relegated it to drama. And I don't want to talk about just drama. I want to talk about things that I want to talk about. Come on now. It's my channel too. I believe that the topic of this video will resonate with a lot of people too, as I've slowly noticed it becoming more apparent, and I kind of wanted to point it out, And that is just I call it the TikTokification, but I guess the ideation of disabilities and mental illness. And when I say ideation, I don't mean people just wishing to have them. I mean people using disabilities as labels, and I mean identity labels, as if it's being LGBT or something like that. And you cannot just shift and change which disability you'd like to have on a whim. And I don't know why, but for some reason there is a subset of people online who are doing this, or they'll just cherry pick a disability and take a BuzzFeed quiz on that, and then just go around saying that they have it for sure, 100%, without even consulting with a professional. And I don't say this to be mean, but when your self-diagnosis is switching every week and you add a new medical condition or mental illness to your ever-changing and growing list and demand that people respect you, or they're all just ableists, then I'm sorry, but you need to stop checking Google and go check in with a therapist. And I know not everyone has the money. I myself went through a really, really rough patch mentally and couldn't get seen because I was uninsured and don't have money. But I didn't turn to Googling every little symptom of mine and picking up mental illnesses like they're fucking Pokemon, because Tumblr said that self-diagnosis is valid and that BuzzFeed was a reputable source for my self-diagnosis. In fact, I started getting off my phone and writing more, trying to do hobbies that I hadn't done in a while, even though I genuinely just didn't want to do it. I made myself do it. So while I was left without a label to put on what I was feeling and how it was affecting me, I managed to cope and help myself enough until now, where I am insured and could definitely get help if I ended up in a similar situation again. But the thing is that these are vulnerable kids and they don't do that. They don't get off the phone. They go to Tumblr and get told that they might have this disability and they want a place to fit in and feel less lonely, so they start mimicking the symptoms. Then bam, 6 months later, they've convinced themselves they're an ADHD, BPD, NPD, bipolar polygenic system of 800 alters. You see what I mean now? They pick up disorders like they're labels, they're some xenogender label, or neo-pronouns or whatever the fuck it's called, because I've seen a ton of people pick up all of those labels, and that's fine. That's self-expression. Do your own thing. It's not my business. Disabilities don't work that way. You can't just pick up disorders like their labels and pick and choose from which ones they use and when it's convenient to you or when it applies. And that's why when I say self-diagnosis isn't valid, I'm not talking about the people who do months of research and then say that they speculate that they might have a certain disability. I'm talking about these Tumblr and TikTok users who see 3 videos and then go, yep, that's me, then put it in their bio and speak about things regarding that disability. When I'm seeing someone in a comment section argue that BuzzFeed quizzes are good sources for your self-diagnosis, I'm automatically inclined to be more against that ideology, because at that point, if the most you're doing is BuzzFeed quizzes, then no, your self-diagnosis is not valid. This is an actual disability that affects people, that shapes how they live out their lives, not some label you can slap onto yourself because a couple of quizzes online said you could. And that's the problem. They see it as just a label, something that you can cherry pick from, and not an actual disability that has effects. That's why they're so comfortable using such broad symptoms as justification for their self-diagnosis via TikTok and BuzzFeed quizzes. No, you don't have autism because you bounce your leg when you're nervous. That could literally just be an anxiety disorder. I've seen so many videos and posts claiming like these broad symptoms that can be applied to multiple disorders as very linear, when that's not the case at all. They're comorbid. There's so much to get confused by unless you're a professional. I'm sorry, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Hell, professionals can't even diagnose themselves. Makes you think you can diagnose yourself based on a few TikToks saying that if you yap too much, you might have ADHD, or if you don't like to clean your room, you might have ADHD. So again, if professionals can't even diagnose themselves, what the fuck makes you think you can diagnose yourself based on a quiz you took online and a couple of TikToks? Oh right, you can't. I'm tired of seeing videos also that are just corkifying these disorders. Then when people post negative experiences with these disorders and disabilities, they get mocked. That one girl crying saying that she hates having autism, and then people decided to stitch her saying I don't, making it a quirky joke when it isn't. That person was actually expressing disdain for having a disability that, whoa, who fucking knew, hinders the way that they live out their life. It disables them. Who fucking knew that it would do that? Just because it's not all bad doesn't mean that it's not all good either. But anytime someone tries to point it out in a not ooh woo, I'm so autistic type of way, it's met with criticism for some reason. Is that not just ableism? You don't want to hear about the negative parts of the disorder. No. That burdens you too much. But you can hear about all the funny, goofy, quirky stuff and even make fun of that. It does cause problems in your day-to-day life. People should be able to express that it causes problems in their day-to-day life. Autism is not just sitting down and stimming when you are stressed out. I could name a few cool things being autistic has led me to do, but I could also name a shit ton of struggles that I have to deal with that aren't cute and quirky that TikTok would eat me up alive for even mentioning. I'm sure there's people with DID out there who have experienced the same thing, who have gotten ridiculed by the Dream SMP alters who are 14 and cannot fathom the fact that they probably don't have DID. They just like to roleplay. I do believe that concludes this week's rant. If you want to support me, you can leave a comment and subscribe, and if you want to buy my next Mountain Dew Voltage, you can become a channel member. Anyways, I'm Ren, I'm tired, and thank you for watching.